And we're live, the Born Free podcast, episode 8. Remember, this is the Women's Month special, so most of my guests are going to be female. Well, all of them, not most of them. Today in studio, we have one of my favorite people just in general, like young Khlegis, young Lachis, umuntu grant. She's a reporter, former reporter. Currently, she's a broadcaster and also an artist. Should I be able to convince her at the end of this podcast? Zikhona Miso, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. You said you're sick.
I was feeling a bit weak today, and I think it's because I haven't taken time off.
And we were having this discussion about this time off thing. Explain it to me.
No, you need to be able. Listen. You can't, be running around like a headless chicken like all year round. I'm a firm believer in rest. As much as you work hard, you need to be able to take some time out to just chill.
Like uglala.
And even, I don't know, just relax. Like relaxing doesn't necessarily mean sleeping.
So what are you doing that is so hectic that needs you to
my word.
Go away?
Do you really want to know the answer
Yes,
to that? My life, it's so busy right now. Work. That's all I do.
So work being Channel Africa, your show.
Yes, so I work on Caps Radio in the mornings. It is an online platform, which is
Shout
an
out
initiative.
to Caps Radio.
Yeah, it's an initiative by the Department of Education. So what they do on that station is that they're primarily focusing on education. So basic education as well as tertiary. So I'm the host of the breakfast show there, which is 6 to 9 every day.
That's
so
dope.
I'm waking up super early. And once I'm done with that, then I'm at the SABC for my show at Channel Africa Radio.
Okay, so what is your lane specifically?
My lane?
Yeah, in terms of like what are you about? You talk about education. I know you're a former reporter, you studied journalism. What do you think your contribution is to the world?
To the world?
Yeah,
That's a very broad question.
In terms of what you're doing, right now?
In terms of my career.
Capacity? In terms
so
of your
for me, I always say, people who know me outside of work, they always say to me like, Zikhona, the person that you sound on air is not the person that you are in like real life, because I'm just like this bubbly, like outgoing and whatever.
I can understand that actually.
But on air, I think my interests lie in news. I've always been a news and current affairs person. So I studied journalism, and from varsity days, I used to host a current affairs show on Fridays. So I've always been a news person. I'm always very curious about what's happening in the world. And not too long ago, my curiosity, expanded into the rest of the continent. And I think that's why I ended up at Channel Africa Radio. So you'll never find me if I'm on air. I'm not the gig guide girl. I'm not going to tell you.
Wow, that sounds deep.
No hate to the gig guide girls, but I'm not the person who will let you know, which party is hot, when, or whatever. But I'll let you know what's happening in the DRC. I'll let you know what's happening here. I'm a news person. I'm a news girl.
But the gig guide girl is a news girl
it's
too.
It's news, but it's entertainment news.
Okay, so those are separate. They're not.
Not my thing.
So what's catching your eye in the news?
What's catching my eye in the news at the moment? Listen, man,
person.
I've been so shocked. I don't know if I'm shocked, but I think I'm just mortified by some of the things that are happening in our schools. Like the kids have gone completely back. I don't know what's going on.
The kids have always been back.
No. Listen, it's escalated. So in KwaZulu-Natal, I don't know if you saw, there's been quite a number of videos that have gone viral. The most recent one was the one in KwaZulu-Natal, where, just violent beatings.
I think I saw that today with the red uniforms.
Yeah, with the red uniforms. So that happened earlier in the week.
Okay.
Just violence, in schools. So the police went there, raiding the school. Dude, they found knives. They found drugs. These kids are carrying drugs in school. And we all know that when you're in school, certain things, there's peer pressure.
Yeah.
People start smoking, people start experimenting with certain things. But drugs and knives, and it's gone completely insane.
I won't lie. I don't know my school days, my matric days. Just high school days in general. Those things were... That's why I'm not shocked at what you...
Really?
Drugs,
maybe I was close
weapons,
up. Let me be honest, because
alcohol,
I went to a very
You went to an all-girls
Yeah, I
school,
went
no?
to an all-girls school.
Yeah,
It
so
was
that experience
very
is quite different.
Yeah,
to
I mean, we had
co-ed
a
schools.
huge painting of Queen Victoria on our wall, so you can just like get a sense of what kind of school I went to. I mean, we were literally caged birds. Like we walked in twos everywhere we went,
Yeah.
always in school uniform. You wear a blazer whether it's hot or not, you know. So I went to one of those. So really, for me, like leaving high school and coming into the real world was
It
like,
was a
what
culture
is
shock.
going on?
Yep.
But yeah, I think maybe that's why I'm extra shocked, because those things, like, you don't do those things. Like,
I think
usesikolweni.
that's another thing about school. We forget that apart from, you know, education and skills development, depending on what school you're going to, it's also a socializing environment.
Yeah.
So you find that people are finding themselves, they're developing as individuals. So they're prone to have those type of experiences and want to meddle in those, you know, environments that
And I
we don't
think it's
necessarily
also the quest for
think is
cool,
conducive
don't
for
you think?
education.
The quest for cool?
Well,
It's a real thing, one.
yeah, no, the quest for cool is real, but in the case of, you know, violence and, you know, the carrying of weapons and drugs. Okay, maybe the
that-
drugs, yes, cool.
But that's the thing. Listen, I think from when you and I were in school, okay, you and I were in school at different times.
Different times.
But even so, you know, from when you and I were in school, what is cool, the definition has changed completely. So maybe being cool now is asserting your masculinity and your strength
I
or whatever.
don't think so.
Or showing that, okay, you know what, I can carry a knife
I
in
think
school
right
and
now
whatever.
being cool is being okay. Being cool has always been associated with being popular, right? So being popular nowadays is more being known, being the who's who, and being access, basically. Who knows you? Who do you have access to? I think now that's the cool thing. Like with the social media age, how many followers do you have? You get what I'm saying? Like
it's so
how much
ridiculous.
attention can you get? So I think that's the cool of now. The cool of my high school days was just, I don't
was
know.
like 2 years ago, wasn't it?
I'm not that young, Zikhona. But like there was always just like, it was rebel culture, just
Yeah.
being a rebel, you know, standing out, not fitting in. That was the cool of our days.
So going against the grail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically that. Like now I don't know. Like I'm not in tune with that. You
Yeah.
know,
So I mean, like you
population
asked
or that
me,
demographic, but
that's the story that's really, you know, I think it's something that's really got a lot of people talking at the moment. Of course, the Dumanana case, you'd be familiar with that.
Yeah.
It all, you know, fits into this whole word that's been dubbed as femicide. You know, I think it feeds into that
Yeah.
thing. Just women, you know, going through the most.
yeah.
You know, when it comes to their partners, when it comes to just life in general, you
Yeah.
know. So, yeah, I think those are the other things that people are talking about at the moment. So I'm a news girl in that sense,
Okay.
you know.
So what do you think the narrative is like in South African news? Like, you know, like I always think that when you're consuming any type of media, there's always like that in thing, like in terms of narrative, right? So from social media to print, you know what I'm saying? It like right now the narrative is politics,
Yeah,
strongly. But what do you think? Where do you think we're heading? What's the story? Like, what are some of the stories that we're telling?
I think where we are headed is so in journalism there's different types of stories.
Okay.
I think we are in an age now where people are so curious about other people, and I mean curiosity for people has always been there, but it's just I think we're at an age that it's almost, you know, there's a desperation
Yeah,
to
it's
want to
deeper
know
now.
what's happening in this other person's life. So I think in terms of news, we're really moving in a direction that is more focused on human interest stories. So people are more interested in finding out, yes, Wandile, you know, we know him, he's a rapper, he's this amazing guy, whatever, but who is he?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the direction that news is going these days. People want to know deeper. You know, I don't know, is it a good thing?
I
Is
was
it a
about
bad
to ask
thing?
that. Where does that leave us?
It is, you know, quite tricky, because I mean, we've seen people who, you know, bare their souls,
Yeah.
and, you know, let people in, and, you know, are literally living in the public eye.
Yeah.
But those people are almost expected not to have mistakes. You know,
Yeah.
when you live your life, just, you know, on camera, in the public eye, people are expecting you to be a certain way, and you also portray yourself in a specific manner. But at the end of the day, you're human, man.
Yeah.
You're going to make errors. You're going to be human. Do you understand? So yes, it is worrying in that sense. And of course, we live in an age now where social media is basically just like taken over everything.
Yeah.
You know, even the kind of reporting that you'll find is very irresponsible these days. You know, people don't really verify their
Fact
information.
checking, none of that.
That stuff is not happening as it should. I know that. I mean, we used to be in so much trouble if you wrote something and like you didn't double check before.
Yeah.
So I mean, even before the paper would go to print, they would, you know, it was okay, wait, who said this? Okay, did you verify with the police? Did you verify with this guy? Did you verify with that guy? Then only it would go into print. But these days, I mean, we can report on a simple tweet, and it becomes the truth.
But that's the thing. Don't you think, like, firstly, are those stories, like, you know, human interest, are they of public interest and public importance? And secondly, how do we then create that balance of trying to remove celebrity from news? Because there is the sense of celebrity, right, in news, based on like, okay, now your reporters are celebrities. They're individuals who can actually inform people on their own personal platforms, as opposed to going through the whole news process or reporting process of fact checking, reading and editing, and etc. etc.
So you're talking about your celebs and...
Well, not necessarily celebs, but people who are of public interest, like even our MPs, right? They've got platforms where they can engage their followers or supporters or just the public in general. And that now becomes that instant access to information, regardless of whether the information is right or wrong. It's easy to impart information.
I think it's a good thing if it is used properly, you know, because I mean, to have, for example, I'll use the case of the Vodacom issue that happened about 2 days ago. I'm not on Vodacom, thank goodness. So people's data went missing. Excuse me, their airtime went missing, and you know, people just started like tweeting about it, and people were taking pictures on Instagram showing us, you know, how much data they don't have and how much data they had before. So it was like, it's something that went completely viral. And the Minister of Police, Fikile Mbalula, you know, he hopped on that bandwagon and he tweeted Vodacom and he's like, "Buyisi airtime yabanye bantwana," you know. And the next day we actually did see some movement from Vodacom, you know. And I think, yes, it can be used in a positive way, but also, you know, there has to be some responsibility that comes with it. I mean, when you see a minister, same minister, in fact.
I was about to say that, like,
when you see
as
a
much
minister,
good as he can do or they can do,
you know, having a little Twitter war with like a celebrity or just like a boy next door, like,
or just a
for me,
citizen,
what does it do for his credibility? Do you does it make you take that person less seriously? I know it does for me. You know, for me, it's just like, you know, if I see, I'm like, fix, that's my test.
Exactly. It's that,
you know?
you start looking at him based on his that digital self-image that he portrays online, as opposed to, you know, a respectable figure of, okay, this is one of our MPs. They should carry themselves a certain way. So it's hard for you to engage.
And to gauge, you know, like it's very tricky. But I think it is a personal thing, you know. There are people who are out on the social media pages and they're just there to troll. Literally, like they're looking for what's trending at the moment. Let me get in on the action, you know. Let me be one of those people whose tweets are going to be screen grabbed by the TV news channel later on, you know, so that I can say, hey, that's me. You know, I made people laugh today, or I got in, you know, and I really made an impact with my tweet. But to answer what you were saying, we really are moving into a direction where people are interested in human interest stories, and as a result, there's a lot more citizen journalism happening. So citizen journalism is just, you know, you being an ordinary guy who never went to varsity or whatever, but you can actually, maybe you in a dodgy part of town and then you see something dicey happening. You take a picture of that, you take a video of that, you send it, email address to the news channel, you just give them a short caption of what happened, and that is journalism as well.
But doesn't that it removes a certain level of context, though, which isn't one of the most important
But
things.
that's the thing, is
in
that
journalism.
people don't care anymore. People are just curious about what is happening. Who are you? Oh my word!
But that
So
doesn't.
you did that at
But
that
that's
age?
dangerous, because you're like, it's like putting an image out there of like a house burning with no context, right? Like it can be taken in whatever direction.
I mean,
right?
I don't agree with it. I don't agree with how irresponsible it's being handled. But I do think there is a space for citizen journalism. I do think there is a space for more human interest stories where you get to really go deeper with a person as opposed to just getting surface level stuff. But I do think that it has become very problematic in the past few years, because we've seen a lot of cases where, something was said, there was no verification, there was no proper, steps taken before that was published. So.
And does it make it harder now does it make it harder to become a journalist or a true journalist, quote unquote? Like, does that make the whole, verification and you becoming a journalist or working for a publication or a network, does it make it harder for an individual to achieve based on the fact that everybody else can, like the whole citizen journalism thing you're talking about?
I think if you get into the industry now, you probably have it easier than people who got in much earlier.
How so?
But because there's so much that is that you can get away with almost, you know. And I don't like to use the term, but it is getting away with it. There was an old term that we were taught in varsity: if it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah.
So if it bleeds, it leads is, you get to a scene and you just like, you know what, it's a bloodbath. It's this, it's that. You start giving numbers. You think, okay, I think it's about 100 people here. So you almost given leeway to just report and say over 100 people. And then maybe in the next hour you find out, oh, actually it was 40 people.
Or it was 12.
Or it was 12, So that it bleeds, if it bleeds, it leads thing. It's been taken, like they literally have taken it and run with it now. It's just, anything goes. You report on it immediately, we'll fix it later.
Yeah, it's the era of sensationalism.
Yeah, definitely.
Like it's as if we're at a point where if there's not a level of entertainment from a story or anything you're consuming, if it's just bland information, people aren't drawn to it. Is that
makes
fair?
Me so sad.
Honestly, because I mean, in most, okay, let me not say most, but if you like especially online, right? There's so much. There's so much consumption happening in terms of media that you need to use certain tricks to diverge the attention towards your platform or whatever, right? So there's the whole clickbait.
It challenges you, but now you have to be creative. You can't lie.
But you can choose to be creative or be deceiving.
Exactly. So
right?
that's what
you know
I'm
what
saying
people want.
And I think at the end of the day, honestly, it depends on you. What do you want for yourself? Really, if that's what you're looking for, then go for it. I mean, that's the kind of journalist that you're going to be. But if you're looking for something more solid, if you're looking for longevity, if you're looking for something more of substantial, I think, then you'll go into a different space, or you'll approach it differently, and it doesn't mean that for you to be an entertainment journalist means that you don't have substance. No, there are some really good entertainment journalists out there, people whose stuff I'll read and I won't, question. I'll be like, oh no, I know, because she actually does her research properly. She does, her stuff, and she takes pride in her work and her credibility, But it really is a personal thing. It really, really is.
So what motivated your pursuit of journalism?
What motivated my pursuit? Okay, number one, I never pursued it. So...
But broadcasting is a form of
so I wanted
journalism,
to
right?
get into, my thing was music. I've always had a love for music. From high school, I was one of those people who were like, in the cultural
that
team.
fits
So I
your
did debating.
personality more. Like
did
the music
debating,
part,
nah.
I can.
So I did debating.
Co-sign.
I was in the choir. I mean, I went on to get my honors. I was in the National Youth Choir as a soloist. I was that girl.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going into music. So you know how it is. You start applying, and in grade 11. So my parents, they were like, okay, cool. So I applied to UCT, and I was called in for an audition. So I went for the audition. My parents gave me the money to go for the audition.
Yeah.
They were like, no, go for it. I came back from the audition and I got a thumbs up and I'm so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, so I'm going to UCT, School of Jazz. They were going to take me through there's a course that you take before you go into first year. I didn't even care. I was like, as long as I'm in, because I wasn't great with my music, like in terms of reading and stuff like
okay,
that.
cool.
But because I could, they were
Sing.
impressed by the way that I sang or whatever. So I got in and I was excited. Can I tell you, my mom and my dad were
Black
like,
parent story.
okay,
101.
ndiyabizela erumini ke. But hayi le nto yomculo.
Not in this
Just
household.
like, why did you even send me there? Like, did you think I was not gonna make it?
Then they don't have to have
I
the
think
talk
they were
with
just
you.
like, okay, you know what, Shem, let's let her just do this thing. She's not gonna make it, but like, okay, it's fine. So that dream died very quickly. And then
So
I was
it died then and there in that room.
literally in that room. I was like, okay, well,
Damn.
not completely. I'll tell you the story. So I was like, okay. What am I gonna do now? My dad is like, no, you can do umculo. And then, but you need to find something that's gonna make you money. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, like I'm one of those people that I never wanted to go into sciences or accounting or oh my word, I'd slit my wrist literally. So, and I'm sorry, I know there's people who do accounting and stuff. You guys are great.
Cleaning it up.
So. Oh gosh, so I remember going back. So I was in school in Grahamstown.
Yeah.
So I went back to I went to Rhodes University, and I didn't want to go to Rhodes. So I went to the HOD there. I think it was the Dean of Humanities. And I was discussing with him and I was like, listen, I don't want to be in Grahamstown for another 4 years. I was in Grahamstown all my life, So he was like, no, but you a person, because of my marks, my English marks and whatnot, I'm more inclined to the arts and language
literature
and stuff like
and
that.
everything, yeah.
So he was like, no, I mean, then you should do journalism, but like I don't want to be at Rhodes. I don't want to be in Grahamstown for another 5 years. And then I was directed to Pretoria Technikon. They said Pretoria Technikon. But now back in the days, if you say Technikon, it's like,
how?
No. I want to go to a
University.
Technikon for the university.
Exactly.
And I was like, okay. And then I was like, okay, fine. So I'm going to go to this Technikon. So I went online and I was doing my research. I couldn't find this Technikon anymore. And all that kept popping up was Tshwane University of Technology. That freaked me out even more because I'm like, University of Technology? This doesn't sound right. I'm just like, what is a University of Technology? I'm just like, nah, fam, this doesn't sound right.
Oh, my God.
So I was lucky because one of my neighbors actually went to TUT. So I was telling her, I'm like, I don't even know. She's like, no, that's where I go. No. So what they've done is they've grouped universities and this is what's happening. I'm like, oh, okay. She was already at TUT at the time. So when I arrived, so my parents sent me, I went by my ace, man. I was like, okay, I'm going to go and see if I can get in Kegwes Skolo. I went there, got my marks. Luckily, my marks were not too bad. So I was one of those people, that no, you can make it here. You can make it there. I'm like, yeah. But I couldn't make it into journalism in the first year.
Why?
Because it was full.
Oh,
it was already
okay.
full. So they had a 1-year course called Versatile Broadcasting.
Whoa.
Okay, so Versatile Broadcasting is basically
That thing doesn't exist anymore.
I
can tell you
mean,
now.
dude, I have a certificate.
That sounds like something that has been
It
discontinued.
sounds like I was duped, hey. Like when I think back, actually. But I'm not gonna let it sink in too much. So Versatile Broadcasting at TUT was a course where they focused on radio and television and whatnot. So it was like-
Multimedia?
yeah, basically.
Why
But it
didn't
was
they
a
just
1
call
year.
it that?
No, listen, babes, it's not multimedia. It was a 1 year. It's a 1 year course.
Versatile
Broadcasting.
multimedia, Joe.
So for Versatile Broadcasting, you had to go and audition. I'm just like, for what?
Voice audition.
Voice auditions,
Okay.
because they need to know, okay, like somebody's trying to get into media, TV
Yeah.
and radio, okay,
Let's see if we can
let's hear if you
put you behind the
articulate. Do
mic
you
or-
understand?
yeah.
So I went for this audition, and while I was auditioning, the guy behind in the production studio, white man, he says to me, "Listen, when you're done, can you come this side?" I'm like, okay, white man. So I go, once I was done with my audition, and he's like, "Would you like to work at the radio station?" I'm like, with a heavy British accent. I mean, mine is terrible. And I was like, "Well, I saw posters up, but like I'm a first year. Like I don't know this place. I just." He's like, "No. I think you do well. Listen, can I tell you? On my first day at varsity, I was on radio.
Wow.
So I got onto the campus radio from the onset. So in Rhodes, everybody gets nicknames and stuff. So my nickname became DJ. How boring, hey? So my nickname became DJ because they already knew that I was already into the radio station. You know, everybody's like, "How did you make it in?" Like, and I was like, "Listen, I don't know, man. Maybe it was a calling, this thing."
White men co-sign.
Don't do that. That white man helped me a lot. Jeremy Thorpe is his name. Amazing guy. So from then on, that's when I started working on radio. So the next year, I applied then for listen. So I applied for journalism for the next year, but I applied for music as well. I passed versatile broadcasting, but I applied for music as well. So TT's got a music school.
Oh, okay.
I went to. I don't know.
Did
there
you
was
tell
just
your parents
something.
about this?
No, I didn't tell them about the application. Yomtul. And like I made it, you know, but like I couldn't even share it with them because I knew. And I think it was just for me, I was just trying to see if really like,
can I do this?
You know, would I be able to do this? And I got in again, you know. It was jazz studies as well at TUT at the Arcadia campus. I went for the audition and everything. And during that year, I was already like, you know me, I'm a very like sociable person.
Yeah.
I'd met people. I was already in a band with some like dicey guys, but they were great because they were talented. I was singing, so I was doing a lot, you know, musically. You know, I did the whole, you know, anything. Then I got into the journalism school the next year. I won't tell that story, long story, but I got in, and the rest is history. So I got into my third year. I started doing my internship. So internship, you apply for internship. I was lucky because in my third year, when I was still in varsity, the SABC had Student Journalist of the Year awards.
Wow,
and my lecturer had applied for us. You know, I didn't think like I'd make it. He had applied for us and we were shortlisted, and I was one of the finalists. So it was actually the first time that I flew a plane.
Yeah,
the SABC flew me from Pretoria to Cape Town. That's where the awards were happening. Listen, I was like starstruck the whole time. I was just like, all these people that I see, you know, and I admire. So, and hey presto, I won the award.
Wow.
So that's where my first real like networking
insight of the
it
industry.
happened. So that's when I found out, they're actually looking for interns and whatnot. I applied for the internship. I got in, and the rest is history. So I worked as an intern at the SABC in the Pretoria office for 2 months. And then I was hired permanently, like immediately. So no, it's because I was working hard, and I was one of those people. Listen, I was one of those people who went to, because you know sometimes when you're an intern, they just like let you sit there like
just
the whole
linger.
day. I'm like,
I've been an intern.
How am I gonna like listen? How's this gonna work actually? Because I'm not doing anything. All I'm doing is shadowing people. So I remember going to the boss and I was like, Gift Mgomezulu was his name. I'm like, Gift, I think if you can maybe trust us with the story, you know, then maybe we'll be able to know where we're making mistakes and whatnot. The next day they gave me the top story of the day. That was the day I've never cried so much. Gave me the top story of the day. There was a huge march to the higher education department in Pretoria, and this was now a big story. All the radio stations wanted it. And now you have to do live, so Q&As. I didn't think this through when I went to go and complain. So now it's Q&As. You've got SAFM at 12:20. You've got Mhlobo Wenene. So I was broadcasting both in English and Xhosa. Mhlobo Wenene at 30:30. You've got Ukhozi at this time. You've got Ikwekwez. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much work. I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I don't know if, like, I'm gonna cope. But you know, did my first crossing that day with Xolani Gwala, was the presenter at the time. Did I not cry so much?
This jury or after?
No, afterwards. But when I speak to the producer at the time was Krivani Pillay, she called me. She's like, listen, you did well, but you were like Sonic the Hedgehog. the way
Fast,
that I was
yeah.
speaking, because I was nervous.
Yeah.
So, but the more you practice something, the better you get at it. And, after a while, like Q&As were my favorites, actually, because it was an easy way to get the
more,
story going. Yeah.
As opposed to
Yeah.
just reading,
writing
reporting,
and filing and stuff like that.
So would you say you fell in love with broadcasting? Like you were...
Oh, I did. Absolutely. Absolutely love it. And I love people. So, it gives you an opportunity
To interact,
to meet
engage,
different people every day. I always used to struggle every time I had to do a science story because, these people have like hectic jargon. They can't explain to you some of the stuff. And you, as the journalist, have a duty to break it down, to layman's terms, and just explain, okay, what does this mean? The square kilometer array.
Yeah.
How is that going to work? My goodness, that story used to give me nightmares. But you get to meet different people. It's not the same thing every day. And I'm not a fan of routine. So I really did enjoy it.
And speaking of like meeting great people, you had a chance to meet with the former president.
Yes.
Thabo.
Oh my word.
How was that like? You interviewed him, right?
I've interviewed him, and I also studied at the Thabo African Leadership Institute. So got extra time with that with him. Very intimidating.
How was that interview?
It was good. I'd done my research on him. He's the type of guy who, if you're not listening to him, and you ask him something that he's already said, he's going to embarrass you.
This is after his presidency.
This is after, This was after his presidency. During, nobody really had access to him because there's a presidential team that is, dedicated to the president. With each president, there's a team. So Miranda Stradum was the presidential reporter at the time. So they had more access to him. But afterwards, yes, definitely spoke to him. I've interviewed Jacob Zuma before. Very nice, very friendly man. And I enjoyed that interview as well. I've interviewed quite a number of people. But I think one of my most memorable interviews was with... there's so many. But Dr. Brigalia Bam, I think she was my favorite.
I'm not familiar with her.
She was head of the IEC.
Okay.
At the time when I did interview her, she was amazing. She's such a great storyteller, and I think we were having a conversation afterwards, and I was just chatting to her now off the record and, asking her just small things like, when women have done so well for themselves, you want to know, okay, like in your personal life, how are things there? And then she says to me, "Mntanam, dandizawutshata njani ndibhizi ndizabalaza." When was I going to get the time to get married? Because I was just busy, busy with this freedom fighting, busy with all this stuff. So, I've been lucky to have gotten some interviews with some really awesome people.
Do you have
find amazing
any of those attachment as a career woman to, family, marriage, love?
Do I have any attachment
to that? Or are you...
Do you see how my whole tone just changed now?
Is that something you're willing to do? But do you think you have to balance the two? Or do you think those things just come, easy?
No, definitely there's a balance. I think with everything, you have to find a balance. Like I was saying to you earlier on, you can't be working nonstop. You need to be able to relax as well. So yes, it's something, companionship is something that I do desire, a long term, that is.
Okay.
And I don't want to say marriage or whatever. I don't want to box it, to something like that.
A partnership.
And a partnership, And kids, I don't know so much. Maybe one.
Why do you say it like that?
Nah, fam. It's work. It's work. I have a beautiful niece. She's 10. She's an amazing child, but man, children are work.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm at a point in my life I feel like this now. Maybe I'll feel like I want 5 later on. I don't know. But yes, of course, you strike a balance. Like, as much as I work so much, I'm always up. I'm always either going to something, either going to work on air, or I'm going to a voiceover, or I'm trying to do something. I do make time to have a social life as well. That's a huge part of me. Like, I have to, otherwise I'll go insane. Like, I need that balance.
And about the music, the your love that you left behind,
oh my God.
is that still a pursuit for you?
Music is the love of my life. Music is absolutely the love of my life. music junkie. Like I consume music like insanely. But because I respect and I love it so much, I'd never go into it if I'm going to be going in half-heartedly.
Yeah.
So I have a very good friend of mine, Shabzi Medallion. He's always trying to like...
Shout out to Shabs.
He's always trying to like, push me in that direction. Like, come on,
I've
Z.
actually heard something you
I
recorded.
know. And it wasn't even like,
It was
listen.
cool.
Nah.
I digged it.
So
I'm actually gonna
he
see
was
if I can
trying-
try get him to release
Oh
that.
no. He's always constantly trying to push me in that direction because he knows how passionate I am
Yeah.
about it, But for me, I'm always a person who tries and does things perfectly. It's not always a good thing.
Yeah.
I
definitely not.
do have, slight OCD. But if I were to ever go into music, then I'd want to give it my all.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be that girl who's like, okay, featuring Zikhona everywhere, like, I want to do music the way that I want to do it, and do it fully.
And what type of you are you jazz? Is that what you're trying to do?
Jazz, neo soul, African, blues. That's me. Like very like laid back,
Contemporary.
meaningful lyrics. I listen to lyrics, so I won't just bob my head.
And you
to anything.
songwrite as well? Do you write your
I
own
do
lyrics?
write my own songs.
Ah,
Yeah.
Zikhona, we must make an
Nah,
album.
fam, it's not gonna happen. Not now.
Aye, bro. You must make something
Not
happen.
now. Yeah. I know.
So apart from the music and the broadcasting and journalism, is there anything else you're plying your trades at? Is there anything else you've been
So,
putting your hands on?
I've recently started talks called Ingo, and that's my baby at the moment. Absolutely loving it. It's something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. I mean, I think you can tell that I'm a person who loves talking.
Thanda khuluma.
And ndiyabathanda abantu, you're right, So I'm always, even with my friends, they always tease me because if I'm hosting something, I remember when I used to live in Pretoria, I hosted a June 16 thing, like at my place. So I cooked and everybody came. And like in the invitation, I said, guys, please bring a poem, that like speaks to, and they're like, Zikhona, I mean, really, who's going to bring a
And
poem?
was that your idea? This thing of
because I want us
who
to
did you
have-
meet?
No, I want us to have conversations, like
Within a
meaningful
conversation.
conversations, and where we not only just, bash male bashing or female bashing or, talking about, how things are not great or
Yeah,
whatever.
just
but
open dialogue.
open dialogue. So that's always been my thing. I've always been that person who's at the center of the dialogue. I'm always the moderator, even in my close circle of
Yeah.
friends. I'm the person who pose the questions to you and stuff. So Ingoko has just become that platform extended. So I get people from all walks of life, whoever you are. All you have to do is just RSVP,
Yeah.
Because unfortunately we don't have the luxury of space. The space that
Capacity,
I work at doesn't have that much capacity. It can't take as many people.
And you're on your fourth one, right?
We're on our fourth one.
The next one is
The next one
fourth
is
one.
No. Yes, it's the fourth one.
The fourth one. I
Oh my
missed
gosh, it's so
two.
fast.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So the next one is the fourth one. It's happening in September. I'll let you know the topic. I'm not going to tell you now.
How exclusive, Nyana.
no exclusives for now. But it's a really good platform. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying how people open up.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show that, as much as I have been dying to get that space open where people can talk, from different walks of life, where you are not only talking to your friends and Nyachutana and stuff, you get other people with different opinions and, get to hear life from a different perspective. People are really engaging with it. And, there are people who came to the first one, they came to the second one and they brought someone along.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that it's going to
builds a culture.
to grow in that. But even with that, I don't want it to become a mass meeting. I really don't. Like, I still want to keep the numbers as
you want it organic, man.
Yeah,
It's just
you want it to be organic
the
and
authenticity of
intimate.
it. Because
So-
once there's people, now it's an audience. Now people want to front
And I mean, the
act.
last one we had was really, I mean, I got so many messages from people who were there saying the way that it just impacted
That's
them.
the mental health.
We're
in
talking about
African
mental health
community,
in the black community, and people were just opening up about their depression, their anxiety, and those kind of things. And those are things we don't talk about, And if you do, there's a guy there, Uliswe, we was talking about how, men. the minute you start like talking about like emotions and stuff,
Switch
your
off.
boys will just be like, ariyobuhlaba. Like masame
You switch off, yeah, then you need vices,
like that's how
etc.,
you sort
etc.,
things
yeah.
out. Like, bruh, it's fine. Let's go. I'll take you out for a drink. And
Yeah.
sometimes you just really want like your friend to listen or try and understand what it is that you're going through, because we don't have those outlets. And I
Yeah.
mean, we brought up to think that going to a psychologist is just, yo, there's something
Zalang
wrong
mad.
with you. Yeah. And like, akapilang, kondo wrong, guys.
Yeah, I
So,
think a forum like that is very important. I think it's hard to see its importance now because you know we're so attached to different ideas and ideologies, but it's very important to have a forum for especially young black people.
Exactly.
Because I think we're gonna have to be at the forefront of all these conversations and all these issues that we haven't addressed, or our parents haven't addressed. And I think something like Ingoko like is quite dope because it strips away the whole judgment. We're all
Yeah.
there to converse and have dialogue.
And you don't have to come to each and every one. You know, it's not a club.
Yeah.
It's, you know, if the topic speaks
Not a
to you,
popularity contest.
Yeah.
It's just
If the topic speaks to you, then come through. If not, I'm sure the next one will probably. So, that's my baby at the moment. That's what I'm doing on the side. And I have ambitions of just telling the African story, man, doing documentaries.
Okay.
That's my next move. And documentaries on the continent. So telling stories of the continent
African
that are
stories.
not about poverty.
oh,
Yeah,
God.
so, you know, finding out about the beautiful different cultures, you know, the different regalia that we wear. Just,
Yeah.
you know, simple things that we don't know because we don't know much about each
don't
other.
think we
That's
know
why we have
anything about each other.
xenophobia.
Yeah.
You know, or so-called xenophobia. They don't want to call it that here in South Africa, but
What do they
you
want to
know,
call it? That's what it is.
Listen, yeah, they call it attack on foreign nationals. But so that's where I'm headed.
Awesome
Yeah.
stuff. And do you have a date as we wrap up? Do you have a date for the next Ingoko?
I don't have a date as yet, but I promise you, as soon as I have one, I will let you know, and you can distribute it or publish it as you wish.
We'll do whatever we need to do.
Do
to get
whatever you
people
need
there.
to need-
But
get people
capacity,
coming through.
RSVP, there's a limit. man.
You have to RSVP. You have to send an email to the email address, which is ingoko17@gmail.com. We're hoping that in time it will be ingoko@ingoko.
Awesome stuff. Where can
Yeah.
people catch you in your personal capacity? Do you do the social media thing? I know you're on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram at Zikitix, ZIKI.
TIKS.
Yeah, that's the one, Zikitix, and also on Twitter as at Zikitix.
Do you engage a lot on Twitter?
I do. Not a lot. But I mean, if you are sending me a message, I'm going
Yeah.
to respond.
Okay.
I'm a lot on Facebook. I'll be honest. I'm a lot on Facebook.
I think we're sleeping on the Facebook community these days, eh?
Yes, Facebook community is huge.
It's huge, man.
Huge. So if you're looking for me on Facebook, Zikhona Miso.
Awesome
That's
stuff.
me.
Thank you for coming through.
It's been a pleasure. I enjoyed. Is it over?
Yeah, it's
Oh my
over.
goodness.
We do.
Can I have another episode?
Yeah, you can repeat offender definitely.
Nah, it's cool. It's cool. Thank you so
let's
much.
Let's do one after Ingoko.
Let's
see
do
if we
one.
can do one
Yeah.
with
And maybe have
particular guests.
Yeah.
Laba the guys ngathi bakhuluma sense.
ababenza sense ne.
I love.
Mnandi abathanda nabangenzi sense abantu, yes. They
I-
bring a very interesting dynamic.
No, in that
to
one,
things.
that one in the sense, but they want to talk and talk. You know
And
what I mean?
you just
Let's,
like-
let's get maybe
Yeah.
one or two people that have great opinions,
Okay,
and you
cool.
know we can reach the solution or whatever the topic is. We can have
Let's
one
do
after
it.
that.
And I want to commend you on what you're doing. I think it's
Thank
great.
you very much.
I think it's awesome that you never get young black men don't do these things. So I'm very proud of you for doing
Thank
this.
you very
It's
much.
Awesome.
Thank
awesome
you.
platform.
Awesome stuff.
Thank you.
This is the Born Free Podcast, episode 8. Remember to rate, subscribe, and review on all our platforms: YouTube, iTunes, and SoundCloud. So please leave a comment, rate, subscribe, and review. That was episode 8 of the Born Free Podcast.